On today's show, artificial intelligence is playing a big role in our lives, and we don't even know it. Now it's taking on the coronavirus. AI is being deployed to pinpoint the next possible hotbed for the virus. Could AI help tackle the deadly outbreak and give us insights like never before? This is interesting stuff. And does your weekend plans involve yard work? My Tomorrow's Tech Today will introduce you to the world's first fully autonomous robot that can mow the lawn, suck up leaves, and spit them out. But what makes it the Chuck Norris of autonomous yard work? Stick around, I'm going to explain it. Plus, most movies these days strive for the clearest picture. But how do you use the newest cutting-edge technology to achieve an old film look? We're going behind the scenes of a Disney Plus movie to learn how tech helped create a film that looked authentic to its time period. And finally, hackers and scammers are after us online. And that's why every week I put together your DIY security. You can stay ahead of them with 3 simple steps the security pros take. And the good news is, it takes just a few minutes. All this and more digital know-how here on Komando. Every day, I look at 32 different websites to keep up with the latest tech news. And every show, I share only the top 5 stories you need to know. And number 1 this week is the tech behind the coronavirus outbreak. 15 years ago, during the SARS outbreak, the internet was still young, and you couldn't get a lot of instant info online. Today, public health officials tracking the spread of the coronavirus use the internet and a ton of artificial intelligence. A Canadian firm called Blue Dot is one of several companies that sift through data about potential public health risks using AI and machine learning. This tech can analyze 100,000 news reports in 65 languages every day. That helps experts recognize anomalies that could indicate a brewing epidemic, while also taking into account other data like flight paths and traveler itinerary information to predict how the illness will spread. Through their automated infectious disease surveillance, as Blue Dot calls it, they were able to notify their customers about this new form of the coronavirus at the end of December, days before the World Health Organization and the CDC sent out their official notices. But breaking news posted on the internet always takes another turn, and this brings us to number 2. Fake news is spreading faster than the coronavirus. Here's the big problem with fake news. Pew Research found that 1 in 5 U.S. adults gets their news through social media. Since Facebook, Twitter, Google, and YouTube aren't doing much to stop the false claims and the conspiracy theories, it's up to you. On social, there are posts claiming that oregano oil will prevent you from contracting the coronavirus. One YouTube video accused the so-called deep state of using the coronavirus to draw attention away from President Trump's impeachment trial. Google reports that searches for the virus and the Mexican beer Corona spiked more than 1,050%. The beer is safe, by the way. And fake CDC alerts are running rampant, such as the one naming stores you shouldn't go into in Los Angeles County. So when you see the news, check it out before you share it. If it is fake news, report it to the site. Like the conspiracy theory that former Microsoft CEO Bill Gates funded the group that owns the coronavirus patent and is now profiting off of it. That's completely untrue. Everyone knows the worst thing Gates ever unleashed on the public was Windows Vista. Number 3, you cannot hide from relentless advertisers. We all know that advertisers track you online so they can better target you with things you might want to actually buy. You can't even avoid that kind of data collection when you actually go to brick and mortar stores, thanks to the GPS on your phone. But we're getting used to it, and those ads tend to be sort of white noise after a while. So retailers have developed another way to get those ads back in front of you. Notice I said another way and not a new way. Here in the 21st century, advertising is going old school, all the way back to your physical mailbox. Retailers are combining what they've learned about you online to send you targeted snail mail. Let's say you go online to look at a trendy new clothing company. No doubt you'll be seeing those flashy pants ads again and again as you visit other sites. But now don't be surprised a few days later if you see a flyer for that clothing line with the other junk mail that shows up at your house. Great, isn't it? As you decide whether you're going to buy the pants because of the ads coming at you in all directions. Check out Komando.com for insider tips to stop companies from tracking you. Then take those targeted flyers to your new ad filter, the recycle bin outside. Number 4, kids voting in the next presidential election were the same ones eating Tide Pods. And now there are new internet challenges making the rounds on TikTok, which is a social media app based around sharing 15-second videos. The first one is a little shocking, literally. I'm not sure who is the genius behind this idea, but it could lead to your house catching fire. The outlet challenge is where someone plugs a phone charger into a power outlet, but not all the way. Then they slide a penny into the exposed prongs. The least of your worries with that one, sparks fly, but it can also damage the electrical system and maybe start a fire. Then there's the other challenge. This won't burn your house down, but it could certainly have other more permanent adverse effects. This unfortunate trend apparently started when a TikTok teen posted a video saying a new filter called S5 can change the color of your eyes if you look directly at the flash from your phone's camera. After other users tried it, guess what? Their eyes didn't change color, and all they got out of the deal was temporary blindness. S5 is a real filter on TikTok, but all it does is add a hint of blue to the videos. Let's all hope they add a filter for common sense. Finally, number 5, remember, robots can't identify stop signs or traffic lights in CAPTCHA images. Back in May, a Connecticut woman named Jennifer Dulos disappeared. It soon became a murder investigation, and the missing woman's husband and his girlfriend were arrested in connection to the case. The husband recently killed himself. The girlfriend was charged with conspiracy to commit murder. The girlfriend says she has an alibi for her whereabouts the day Dulos went missing. Just ask the robot at a grocery store. She says that on the day in May, she visited a Stop and Shop store, one of hundreds of locations that employs Marty, a robot that roams the aisles and alerts employees to spills and other hazards. Grocery store robots are still a pretty rare sight, so apparently she took photos with Marty. Now Marty can't exactly verify the claims. The robot is equipped with cameras, but they're only used to record hazards, not people. The investigation continues, but when it comes to this alibi, there's been no comment from the police or from the grocery store. The same goes for Marty. The grocery store robot hasn't said a word. My next guest was the senior colorist for a big-time Disney Plus movie. We're going to go behind the scenes and talk about the tech used to create the old-style movie look here on Komando. Think back to the last time you had to sign a digital document. Did you print, sign, scan, and email it? What a hassle. There's a much easier way, and you can do it on any device. In this Komando DIY, we'll show you how to put your signature on a document on your PC or your Mac.
You just got an email that says you were approved to move into that swanky new rental you applied for. All you have to do is sign the attached PDF. Sure, it's more convenient than running down to the leasing office, but it's still a hassle. You gotta print, sign, scan, and then email it back. Well, don't sweat it, because in this Komando DIY, we'll teach you how to sign documents the digital way. PDF stands for Portable Document Format. They're popular because they maintain file formatting. What does that mean? It means when you open a PDF document, it looks the same on every computer. Adobe Reader is the most common PDF application for PC and Mac. To sign a document using it, open your PDF in Adobe Reader, select Tools, then Fill and Sign to open the signature panel. When prompted, select Me, since you'll be the one signing it, of course. Choose the field that needs your signature and click on the Sign icon. Then sketch your signature with a mouse or trackpad. To save it, check the box that says Save Signature and click Apply to sign the document. Mac systems have a built-in PDF reader called Preview. To create a signature, open Preview and select the Markup button. From here, select the Sign icon. It looks like a small cursive signature. Follow the on-screen instructions and voila! Signed, sealed, delivered. If you want step-by-step instructions including how to sign a PDF on your smartphone, just visit our website, komando.com, and search how to sign a PDF.
If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. Most companies don't have a clear picture of their business, and that's why many struggle to grow. Can you afford that new hire, invest in new software, or launch a new campaign? How is revenue pacing against your expenses? NetSuite by Oracle is here to solve that problem. As a business owner, are you confident that you've got the right numbers? Are you really confident you're making the right business decisions? Serious entrepreneurs and finance teams run on NetSuite, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite offers a full picture of your business, everything in one place: finance, inventory, HR, customers, and more. No more guessing, no more worrying. Run your business with confidence. Grow successfully on NetSuite like Ring, Hint, Boll & Branch, and over 19,000 other businesses. Schedule your free demo right now and receive their free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits at netsuite.com/commando. Set up your free demo and get your free guide today at netsuite.com/commando. That's netsuite.com/COMANDO. When you're looking at Hollywood films, a lot of critics complain that modern titles lack the charm, the authenticity you'll find in older movies. The reason? Our transition from analog to digital film. Siggy Furstel is a senior colorist at Company 3 and one of the talented artists involved in the movie Togo, which streams exclusively on Disney+. It's the true story of one man and his lead sled dog in their quest to deliver medicine across the Alaskan tundra. Togo was directed by Erickson Kaur, who also served as cinematographer. The movie is set in the 1920s, and Kaur worked with Siggy extensively, starting before a frame was even shot, to develop ways to make the film look and feel straight out of the time period. It's fantastic. Siggy, it's such a pleasure to have you here on the Kim Commandos today. Thanks for coming on. Now, we know that this film was recently released. How long did you actually work on it?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Erickson approached me prior to shooting about the film, and he said he wanted to kind of give it a look and his style that was sort of true to the period, and he brought in some reference frames of some autochrome looks. That was a film process, one of the early film processes to create color, and it has this really unique texture and a coarse granular feel to it, and that was probably at least 6 months prior to actually starting work on the actual film.
I guess I should ask you a first question. What exactly does a colorist do?
Well, traditionally, we, take the footage that the cinematographer shoots, and we apply color, and that can be sort of a technical pass just to balance things out. It can also be a creative process. And that's where an artist like myself comes into play, is to create a look and style using color for a film or a TV show. So
was that unusual for a cinematographer to come to you and say, hey, listen, I know we're going to shoot it on digital, but we actually want to go a little old school on it?
Often we do get brought in early. It was imperative that on a film like this that we start so early, just because I could start thinking about the looks and the style and create these textures and sort of granular sort of grain that we infused into the image. When he was shooting, I was back here in LA. I would be sort of at home, looking for these elements that I could use to then infuse over the image and blend them together to create this kind of unique look.
What tools do you use, as you mentioned, to give it that granular authenticity?
Yeah, so here at Company 3, we use a software product called Resolve, which is made by Blackmagic Design. Resolve is traditionally a color correction tool, and they've been adding all these sort of elements, so sort of conform and editorial elements and sound tools. They actually implemented Fusion into Resolve, which allowed me to take these elements that I was trying to sort of infuse into the image and blend in. Before Fusion, I just wouldn't have been able to do it to the extent we did.
So how long does it take you to do your part of the craft?
Once Erickson finished the edit of the film and we started work on the actual final cut of the film, it was probably like a 4 to 6 month process.
Wow.
I sort of shot all these sort of textures of cloth weaves and sort of old handmade paper textures, and brought those in and combined them with some sort of grain textures, and then using Fusion inside Resolve, I was able to track and blend those layers together. All in all, we used about anywhere between 9 and 16 layers.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's a lot.
Yeah, one of the challenges with this film, especially with this autochrome process and the textures and the look, was when the images, well, there was a like fast moving action and how that blended into the image. So as we were going, we learned a lot of what this autochrome look felt like on a fast moving image than a sort of more slow, gentle looking sort of camera movement, so to speak.
So Siggy, I have one more question for you. Tell us about that statue to your left.
Funny you should ask that. That's a Lumiere Award, which the Lumiere brothers actually created the autochrome process back early last century. But this is a Lumiere Award for another TV show called Lost in Space I do for Netflix.
Wow. Well, you know what? Your work is amazing. The film is incredible. And after talking to you, I have a whole new respect for what a colorist does. And Siggy, it's been wonderful having you here on the show. You know, it's just always fascinating to hear the amount of work that goes into making movie magic. Two stars William Dafoe and Juliana Nicholson, and it was directed and shot by Erickson Core. It's streaming now, so make sure you check it out for yourself on Disney+. And make sure you stay tuned for our next guest. He also played a part in bringing Togo to life. His company software helps spearhead high-tech film editing. Every week, I come up with a tech trivia question to stump you. Now, let's go back to 1983. A Ford Mustang cost a little over $6,000. The final episode of MASH aired, and 125 million people watched it. And even though the first call over a cellular network was made in 1973, it still took a decade for a handheld cell phone to actually hit the market. Okay, that was the Motorola Dynatec 8000X. In 1983, and it didn't come close to fitting in our pockets. But how much did the first handheld cell phone cost? Was it A, $999 with a 3-year contract, B, $1,399, C, $3,995, or D, $5,549? Hey, stick around. I'll share with you the correct price of this phone at the end of the hour. All right, brand new or not true, we developed this game years ago because so often we sit here and we look at different products that are announced in the tech industry and we're like, what were they thinking? And then sometimes it turns out to be a unicorn. You know what a unicorn is. That's a $1 billion a year company that, well, the chairman of the board and I, we've been trying to come up with that unicorn for how many years?
Back when my hair was dark.
Forever. Forever and ever. Okay, so 3 products, 2 fake, 1 true.
Yes.
Go for it.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, product number 1 is called the Brandy app. Brandy.
Brandy?
Brandy. Now, I know you've done this, but for anybody else, have you ever been in, say, a large city like New York or Paris or any of the, London is famous for this, and you notice that people on the sidewalk are there with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of brand name products, all the big products, Louis Vuitton, Prada, Burberry, Givenchy, Yves Saint Laurent, all that. It's just laying on the sidewalk. And you find out that they're, at a fraction of the cost of the inflated store prices. What about a Louis Vuitton belt? $15 right there.
Wow, that belt's normally like $500.
You already know, you're thinking counterfeit merchandise. 7% of the world's trade is counterfeit goods, and it's usually the high-end fashion brands, unfortunately. Well, the app is called Brandy, and you put it in your phone. It's free with it. It does have in-app purchases. But you put it in your phone, and if you think something's counterfeit, you just walk up with the app, like on this microphone here.
Yes.
You do the thing, and the camera on the phone is looking at it, and it's checking for, let me look at this, stitching, and it looks at the quality of the material. It looks at the, is the label right? For example, are you buying a Rolex or are you buying a Bolex?
I see.
See, that kind of thing.
The sweeper hand.
Right.
I think you know that it's fake if you're already buying it with some guy who has like a rug of things out.
This is an app aimed at millennials.
Oh.
Now it's time for the incredible SolarMate. The SolarMate is an incredible device. It is a flexible solar voltaic thing that, like, you just roll it on to the top of your car and connect it up to the car's electrical system, and it constantly supplies battery power. It keeps the battery charged up. It takes the load off your car's alternator. It stays attached to the car with little Velcro clips that are sustainable and made from renewable stuff, and I don't know what. But
So does it go on the hood of the car?
Goes not on the over the top of the car.
Oh, wow.
On the top of the car, and when you're in a snowy area or a rainy area, you just roll that sucker up and put it in the back seat of the trunk until the sun comes out here. You roll it back, connect it up. It's ready to go. Just $99.95. Available at Costco, Walmart, Amazon, and automotive stores. But wait, there's more. If you drive a larger commercial vehicle, so you get the SolarMate Max.
I'd need the Max.
The SolarMate Max, twice the current at the same low price. SolarMate Max. Remember, it's up to you to save the planet.
All right.
You know, the bigger the one, it's better.
Yes, of course.
Bigger's always better. Okay, finally, we have the PowerDot 2.0.
PowerDot?
Yes, this is an all-new electric muscle stimulator. You just connect the little power dots to wherever the muscles are aching, and then they run off of an app on your iPhone, your smartphone, iPhone or Android device. It's a muscle stimulator and a TENS unit that's not like anything that's ever been invented before. Let me give you a real PowerDot user's comments.
So wait a minute.
No, I want to read this.
Okay.
Okay, now listen. This PowerDot is very easy to use and is amazing and has helped me improve my I'm not finished. My recovery time after each workout. Love it. I love it. I love it. And I cannot imagine being without it.
Okay. So, you know what? It's a classic infomercial.
I'm not done.
Oh, there's more?
Yes.
Oh, I was hoping we were done.
Here's what you get. You get with the PowerDot 2.0, you get muscle recovery. You get, it's app-based and it's portable. You get 15, count them, 15 preset programs. It's time for you to decide.
Okay, I'm saying the Brandy app, that's just stupid.
Why is the Brandy app stupid?
It's dumb.
That's a perfectly great product. And in-app purchases, the developer
This is why you're
can't
not in
miss.
charge of products for the Kim Komando show. I'm just telling you right now.
Okay.
Number 2, the SolarMate Max. It would have to be more than $100. So I'm going for number 3, the PowerDot 2.0 is the real product.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Kim is once again correct. The PowerDot 2.0 is the real product.
Okay. Superior intellect.
I'm done.
You're done.
I'm finished.
You're walking out?
I have found someone. Let me introduce to you my replacement because I'm done. I'm done being loser. Wait, is that the wrong way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and it's actually not your whole hand. You just do like a letter, not like this. That's a face palm, but this
Do you see?
way.
This is why I'm walking. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Weinman, would you welcome everybody? Give him a round of applause. Next victim.
Chris.
There he comes.
How's it going?
It's good.
Glad to be here.
Now, let me just tell you, he's probably going to be taller than me, so just scratch.
Just that.
Yeah. You know, Chris has been on Huckabee. He was the funny guy on Huckabee. And let me tell you, if you can be funny on Huckabee, he can be funny here.
Excellent.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Huckabee's a Baptist minister. So you got to be real careful what you say. Here, not so much.
Yeah, good. I love it. Glad to be here.
Thanks. Thanks, Barry. Thanks for helping out when we needed you. Thanks for quitting, because now we have Chris.
Thanks for quitting.
Thank you. It's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's the world's smallest flying car, and it's coming up next in your Tomorrow's Tech Today. Tech moves at lightning speed, and I love to go past the headlines to tell you where the future is headed. This week, let's start with the world's smallest flying car that has finally landed. A group of Toyota engineers in Japan have been working on their version for about 8 years. I found a video that shows their tiny car called the SkyDrive taking off vertically, and you'll notice an AR heads-up covering the cockpit with directions and information on buildings and other landmarks. This is their prototype they're actually testing. The final product is bound to have a few changes, but these renderings look pretty slick. Now, you might be wondering, how small is the world's smallest flying car? 9.5 feet long, a little over 4 feet wide, and 3.5 feet tall. It's supposed to go up to 60 miles per hour. Yeah, you could fit in that. SkyDrive hopes to start selling their flying cars in 2023 and begin mass producing them in 2026. Finally, a flying car you can take through the fast food drive-through lane. Now that's true progress right there. Next, future tech to save you if you're having trouble out in the water. We all know the low-tech solution, a lifesaver or life donut, but either way, they're essential for private boats, first responders, and companies that operate on the water. Well, you haven't seen one like this. This is the Dolphin One Smart Life Buoy, and it's meant for commercial and first responder use. It's great in rescue situations. Instead of trying to throw you an average life donut or sending a rescue swimmer to someone who's struggling in the water, crews can instead deploy this remote-controlled life buoy. Just drop it in the water and guide it with a handheld remote to the person needing help. It's genius. You can't miss this thing in the water. It's a fairly big craft that's bright orange, and it's equipped with 2 flashing fog lights. That way, it can still be seen from far distances or in bad weather. The 2 propellers can hit speeds up to 10 miles per hour, and once it gets there, up to 2 people can grab onto the handles for the trip back to the boat or shore. This kind of safety equipment doesn't come cheap. While you can get a regular old life ring for under $100, one of these will set you back up to $5 grand. This is tech, though. In a year, that price will probably be, say, $500. All right, moving on to future tech for your yard. We've got robotic mowers that look like a Roomba vacuum, but you got to have a small yard for that thing to work. If your yard is big enough to need a riding lawnmower, now there's a robotic solution for that too. This is a riding lawnmower made by Mean Green Mowers, and no one's driving it. That's where a robotics company called Kobe comes in. Now, Kobe has already created their own much smaller version of a robotic mower, but they're adding their tech to more robust machines. This battery-powered mower has been equipped with what they call Kobe Vision, and it's mainly marketed to landscaping companies big and small, but it works great on the golf course too. This green machine is loaded with autonomous tech, cameras, computer vision, and artificial intelligence. With the AI smarts, it can be much more precise around yard edges and going around obstacles. It can also recognize people and pets in its path, so it doesn't mow down anything it's not supposed to. And thank goodness for that. And let's face it, no matter how smart it is, it'll still do a better job than your teenager who's upset about only getting paid $5 to mow the lawn. All right, keeping on the topic of robots, and this is one of those strange robots you just have to see. It's called BellaBot. First, know that BellaBot isn't supposed to be a robotic version of a pet cat that just stares at you with contempt and ignores every word you say. No, this robotic cat was made to wait tables. That's why it doesn't look like a cat. BellaBot has shelves made to carry food from the kitchen to customers. It'll let you know it's there by meowing. It has a screen for a face that can change expressions and show messages. After you take your food, you can even pet BellaBot's ears, but not too long or else it'll get annoyed. Hey, it's got to have something in common with the real cat. So the question is, why make a robo-cat waiter? There are restaurants that don't have enough staff to handle a table, so instead of a human, you have a robot. Makes sense. I'm just not sure why this one meows when delivering food. If there's anything good to say about BellaBot, at least this cat won't ruin dinner by coughing up a hairball. Hey, no tips too. Alrighty, my next guest works with everyone from pros directing Hollywood blockbusters to 15-year-old YouTubers, and he's next on Komando. After talking with Siggy earlier, we now know how much technology goes into making a film look low-tech. But don't forget, someone still has to make all these tools in the first place, which brings us to our next guest. He's worked with everyone from pros directing Hollywood blockbusters to 15-year-old influencers over on YouTube. And the tools and software he helped pioneer have been adopted by filmmakers around the world. Bob Cornelia is the Director of Sales Operations at Blackmagic Design, which produces DaVinci Resolve, the software Siggy used while working on Togo. Hey, Bob, thanks for joining us. Now, we all know that Blackmagic makes some serious high-end software. Can you tell us some films that it's been used on before?
Oh, sure. it's been used for a long time. And when Blackmagic first bought it 10 years ago, we were right in the middle of trying to get Avatar out to theaters.
Wow.
So, yeah. Matter of fact, they needed to borrow an extra system because otherwise it wasn't going to hit the theaters on time. And since the buses already had the date on there, we had to help.
Exactly. So Togo comes to you, and I saw the movie. Wow, what an amazing story. Never heard that story before in my life. And if you know anything about me, I don't watch movies unless they're true stories. So you had me like at that get-go. But the cinematography is phenomenal. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I was talking with Siggy about this project, and he was saying how, the director and the DP, they just wanted to make sure that they created it so that it looked like it was that time, back in the early 20th century. And so, that is done in a lot of different ways. Obviously, just capturing while you're on set, but also with the color grading. And then, given that they didn't just do color correction, they were adding all kinds of things to it to really give it that feel so that people felt like they were there.
So what kind of tools did Blackmagic provide in the making of Togo?
The Blackmagic Design DaVinci Resolve software does editing, color grading, and visual effects. Now, for this project in particular, Siggy was using the color component of that as well as Fusion. Now, Fusion is also available as a standalone visual effects software. So we have both of those tools. But then in addition, Siggy has like a big room that has the giant Blackmagic Design advanced panels, and it has hardware. See, we make a lot more hardware than we do software. We have the DaVinci Resolve software, of course, but we also make a lot of hardware for people to be able to get images in and out of computers, as well as the controls.
There's always this thing in the tech industry. Is it the software that makes it, or is it the hardware? And the hardware people say, you can't have the software without us. What kind of platform does this software run on?
Well, that's the thing. Originally, it was developed for just Linux machines only, but now it runs on Linux, Windows, and Mac. And we've really done a lot of work on it to be able to run on laptops. Now, to do a movie like they were doing with Togo, you really need really heavy iron to do that. But that's the thing; it's scalable, so you can start out with just playing it on your laptop. But then, when you're really going to do something serious, you need the big iron.
When you talk about big iron, what exactly is big iron?
Sure. So what you're talking about then is a system that has a lot of GPUs. So you need a lot of external GPUs. But then the real problem is storage. I mean, you need a lot of storage.
Right.
I mean, they used a huge amount in Togo.
When you start talking about storage, then you're talking about local storage and then goes off into the cloud?
Well, for the color part, they would have local storage, but they have a SAN. So they would, I think this one, they must have used like a half a petabyte, so that's a huge amount. So yeah, there's mostly you need local attached storage when you're doing the heavy lifting for the color grading. But even in some instances, you're actually able to have a guy like Siggy who's done this type of work where he would color correct in his room in Los Angeles, but the client could be in London and they could actually be seeing the exact same material. So we call it remote grading, and that's been working well for a long time.
Boy, that's pretty amazing. And all thanks to the internet, right? You couldn't do this, say, 10, 15 years ago, I bet, with a slow line.
Right. So what we're able to do in that particular case, you really want to have duplicate storage, which is easy to do, and you have duplicate systems, also not difficult to do. And then, of course, you need a communication line to be able to speak to everybody, and that's obviously improved over time with the speed of the internet.
So when we start talking about Hollywood films and like you getting involved with the YouTube stars, what exactly have you done there with the YouTube kids?
Blackmagic also makes a bunch of cameras. So we have a lot of cameras that the YouTube guys are using. We even make a new 810 mini little switcher. So it's a video switcher for people who don't really know what a video switcher is. It's got 4 inputs, and you plug a camera in there, you plug your computer output, and then it plugs straight into your computer to look like a webcam. So that way you just broadcast straight away, and people get to get up and running for a couple $100.
I was just going to ask you, how much is that? Because I wish we knew you before we built this great big studio. Gosh.
Yeah, it's funny. It's 4-input switcher for $295. It's kind of amazing.
Wow, that is amazing. So do you think like movies like Togo are kind of setting the stage for future productions like this?
People are always looking for creative ways to tell their story. And that's one of the things we do at Blackmagic. We try to enable the masses to be able to tell stories, but you really need to, concentrate on the story you're telling rather than the equipment you're using. But we provide tools to let people, go wild. I mean, like I said, back to the days of, the first movie that I mentioned earlier, which was just, what a project to have everything blue. I remember saying, to the colorist, did you just tell Jim Cameron that you ran out of blue? But, I think that the different stories, you look at Avatar, which was a big one, as I say, and then Togo's got the whole completely different look, and it doesn't look like it's heavy visual effects, but it is, you just don't notice. And I think that is where storytelling goes, where sometimes you don't even notice that there's a lot of visual effects.
I have to tell you, because in preparation for this interview, I actually watched the movie, and I'm sitting there, and I actually paused a few frames to say, okay, can I see where the visual effects are? I don't think I did. I mean, I sat there and I couldn't find them. Are there any telltale signs of visual effects?
Well, it depends on the scene, but we don't usually, no one usually reveals their secrets.
Oh, come on. Just a little one? Can't we just have a little one, Bob?
Well, I think it all depends. I mean, it's funny because different movies have different things, and sometimes they're obvious what they've done. But the most subtle, I remember years ago, I knew a guy whose job was to fix Kramer's bald spot on Seinfeld. And that's just something no one would notice, but it happened every week.
That's funny. No toupee there. We did it all in post.
Exactly.
So real quick, any advice for any aspiring filmmakers, people that are trying to get into this industry?
Well, it's interesting because today you have a lot more access to information. So you're able to follow the people that you like and enjoy their movies. But my big thing is always, if you can find a way to reach out to somebody in the business, listen. They give you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, even though I use mine too much, my mouth. But I think that the more you listen, the better you can, and just try and get into different areas. I think people always think they concentrate on, I want to be a director. Well, you can't just start there. You have to start with some other areas of it. And I think that the more they appreciate the different aspects, the more they'll be better at that job long term.
Bob, you're fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us and coming on the show today. And if you love shooting movies and you want to make them look great, you can try out DaVinci Resolve for yourself at blackmagicdesign.com. Years ago, DaVinci systems could cost between, get this, $200,000 and $800,000. But today, the software that's enjoyed by millions of users, it's free and offers additional upgrades for professionals. So who's ready to earn that Oscar? Now back to the trivia question I asked you earlier. It's about the very first handheld cellular phone, the Motorola Dynatec 8000X. It was released way back in 1983. How much do you think it cost? A, $999 with a 3-year contract, or B, $1,399, C, $3,995, or D, $5,549. The answer is C, $3,995. The Motorola Dynatec may have been mobile, but it certainly wasn't easy to carry around. The phone was 10 inches long, not including the 3-inch antenna, and it weighed close to 2 pounds. If you were lucky, you could get up to an hour of talk time before the battery would die, and it would take 10 hours to recharge. And you thought today's smartphones were expensive. It's actually worse than that. If you take inflation into account, that $4,000 Motorola phone from 1983 would cost more than 10 grand today. That's right, it's time now for our digital life hacks tip. And I was going through the cable channels the other day and I ran across a show called The Hoarders. Have you ever seen that? Okay, it's a great show to watch if you don't feel like cleaning your house. I mean, suddenly your place looks fabulous. You see, we all stash things that we no longer use, but we don't want to part with. And some of that junk could be worth big money. Now, there are plenty of old tech items that are worth a lot of cash. And if you're ready to get a head start on your spring cleaning, here are just a few things to look for and how to learn what they're worth, starting with those early gaming systems. That's right. If you have a Nintendo, because they were mass-produced back in the 1980s, if you have a factory-sealed cartridge, a copy of the original Mega Man video game, are you ready for this? $75,000. A super rare Mario Brothers game was also purchased for more than $100,000. Now, they're in pristine condition. Some of them have never been played. They never will. So if you have a Nintendo game sitting in your attic, you might want to look on eBay to see how much those games and that system might be worth. Speaking of games, the Atari 2600. The rarest game is something called the Red Sea Crossing. It was valued at more than 10 grand. People didn't even know it existed until it turned up at a garage sale. But Apple's King, the original Macintosh computer, released back in 1984, if you still have one, is probably worth about 2 grand on eBay. What about the first gen iPhone? I have one of those. Well, the newest iPhone is going to cost you about $1,500, but an unopened iPhone 2G sold for $4,500. Wow. A used 4 gigabyte iPhone with the original box sold for more than $1,000. I should be saving these boxes. All right, the iPod Classic, a U2 edition 30 gig iPod sold for $90,000. Wow. An unopened 10 gig first gen Billie Holiday edition iPod is worth $7,500, they say. What about a Commodore 64? I think we have one of those laying around on one of these shelves here. Let's see. If you have one in mint condition, $1,200. Vinyl records. What? Yes, if you have vinyl records, big money there. See, My Happiness from Elvis Presley, $300,000. Ooh, there's the king. Buddy Holly's, rather, that'll be the day. Released in 1958. If you have a copy in mint condition, could be worth $1,500. So bottom line here is that you might have some things that are worth some money that are just collecting dust. And before you just throw them into the pile for a garage sale, yard sale, or throw them up on eBay, make sure that you find out how much they're worth. Time now for your DIY security tip, and we put one of these together every single week. And I know it's a major hassle to deal with security and locking down your gadgets, but you just have to get over it. It's part of life now. You have hackers, scammers, and thieves. They're all after you. They're after your private information and, of course, your money. Millions of people have had their login credentials stolen and sold on the dark web simply because their passwords are just too weak. Your credit card number, social security number, home address, answers to your secret security questions, and other intel about you is worth about, get this, $15 on the dark web. And that's why you need to keep your security in check. And let's start with keeping everything up to date. It's not like these tech companies are going to contact you to let you know that hackers broke through a hole in some of their system software. And you need to make sure that everything's up to date. I'm talking about your smartphones, your tablets, routers, cameras, TVs, toys, gaming consoles, and your accounts, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So just make sure that you're always up to date on all your apps and all your system software. Number 2 on our list is sharing isn't always caring. What you want to look at are your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth options. And what you want to enable is ask to join networks. So this way you're just automatically connecting to public networks without your knowledge. For Bluetooth, verify the devices listed are all yours. If you're an iPhone owner, limit what is used with Apple AirDrop and Samsung Galaxy Direct Share. Don't worry about writing this down. We'll tell you exactly how to do it on the website. And then you want to learn what they know about you. You want to see what your Google account looks like, what is up for grabs with data brokers and people's search sites. And you want to look deeper and keep going deeper. Like, for example, how Google knows where you go online and how social networks can delete some of your accounts or change your privacy settings. I mean, these are not blind spots. These are bumps in the road. But if you use our DIY security tip of the week, you will be totally covered. And what I'd like you to do is head over to Komando.com, of course. That's Komando.com. And once you're there, hit that button that says Kim Show right at the top of the page, and you got it.
Standby control. Cue Kim.
If 80% of all Americans are concerned about big tech spying on them, then why are we buying all these smart devices? I'll explain next here on Komando. Ever wonder how the pollsters get things so wrong? The answer is that as Americans, what we say and what we do are two different things. A survey of more than 2,000 American adults by Data Grill and research firm OnePoll found that over 80% are alarmed by tech companies collecting data from their laptop's camera, their phone's microphone, and smart gadgets like speakers and security cameras. And you know what? It's all hogwash. Don't get me wrong. I believe that's what people told the folks conducting the survey. But those same people are still using Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram, and they're still buying devices that they know, or at least they should know, spy on them. You can't believe a good deal of what you see and hear online, and now you can't even believe what Americans say they believe. we're willing to give up a lot for convenience sake. What was that? Oh, that was my Echo. She just laughed. Hey, speaking of locking down your smart devices, hit my website for tips. And while you're there, find your local radio station that broadcasts my show, along with more DIY how-tos, videos, free news alerts delivered from me to your email address, along with the Komando community, where you can blog and ask your tech questions on our website without anyone tracking you. That's komando.com. And thanks so much for watching.